Well, I'm back with another list of questions and comments that have been sent my way. I didn't have any idea that the second season was going to have that many episodes, so it might now seem like old news. But regardless, I'm going to share some with you. Here we go. The first one says, you have said on multiple occasions that you do not have any problem with a woman having the choice to do whatever she wants with her body, yet you aren't pro-choice. This makes no sense. You can't have it both ways. Okay, so I've answered this one multiple times, obviously, in many episodes where this topic was discussed. I don't have any problem with what a woman does with her body. It's the body that's inside her body that I'm concerned with. From my view, that's a separate human being. So unless I can be convinced that it's really just an organ or it's literally a part of the woman's body, then that's where I'm going to stand on that view. And this is what we always come to, I guess, in the talk of abortion, is what is life? When does it begin? Is it a life? Those are really the questions that matter. So in order for me to change my view on the my body, my choice thing, I would have to be convinced that it is actually her body that's being affected. I mean, and by affected, I don't mean like any kind of affecting. Of course, that's going to affect the woman's body. But I mean, again, the problem we have is as a pro-life people is it's the body inside. It's the human life inside that we feel is being violated. Anyway, all right, next one. I agree with you about those people with the "see you at the next light" bumper stickers. Unfortunately, more often than not, that guy always wins against me. Well, to be honest with you, he or she usually wins against me too. Although it's usually a guy that has those bumper stickers, right? I'm not sure I've ever seen a woman with one of those. Anyway, although I usually get stuck next to the guy at the light and he's staring over at me with that look, I did have a situation the other day that was quite victorious that I'd like to share with you. I was coming home from work on a 2-lane road, and the two cars in front of me were like doing that thing where they're like holding hands, and I can't get around either one of them. So there was no way to pass on either side. Finally, one of them got over, so I started to go around, and then the other guy comes over into my lane, pretty much cut me off. And I could tell this guy was one of those guys, even though he didn't have that "see you at the next light" bumper sticker. So I eventually get around them and start to leave them in the dust. And I wasn't speeding. Just these two cars were driving way below the limit. I can see the green light in sight, and it's one of those intersections that if you get stuck on a yellow, you're going to be sitting there for a while, you know? So there's a few things that went into play here that made this kind of awesome. As I'm getting nearer and the light's turning yellow, I have these guys behind me, and then the song on my shuffle by 5 Iron Frenzy, the song "At Least I'm Not Like All Those Other Old Guys," just happens to come through the speakers right then as I'm gunning it to get through the yellow, and I'm still going the speed limit because remember the guys behind me are going really slow. So I make it through the through the yellow light before it turns red, and then I left both those cars behind me as I made it, and I wouldn't have made it through the light had I have not gone around them when I did. So it was just pretty cool because the song played and I went through the light and they were left in the dust, and it was very victorious. I was almost like wanting to play like the Rocky theme song in my head or something. Anyway, so my point is, don't give up hope. It does happen, and in those times when it does happen, man, it just feels really, really good. Next one. How can you believe in Christianity but not believe in something like the moon landing? Well, first of all, I think you misunderstood me. I do believe that the moon landing happened. That's probably what you're getting at. The reason for this is that I haven't seen any solid evidence to prove to me that it didn't happen. And I know that conspiracy theorists will use the same argument the other way. But as for Christianity, when I've examined its claims, I see lots of good evidence that lean toward it being true. Can I 100% prove it's true? No. But if you think about it, nothing we believe can be proven 100%. This is why I have said multiple times that it's better to live in the realm of probability as opposed to 100% guaranteed fact. But yeah, I don't think the moon landing happening and Christianity, the facts of Christianity, really have anything to do with each other. What is the brand name of the chai you always talk about? It's called Big Train. It's Big Train Vanilla. They have spiced two vanillas, but actually they have lots of flavors, but vanilla is the best. But maybe if I say it enough times, I can get them to sponsor the show. Big Train. It's called Big Train Vanilla Chai, and it's fantastically awesome. I've only had 2 people on the show that said they didn't like it, and I'm no longer friends with either one of them. Because obviously you can't trust someone who doesn't like Big Train Chai. Okay. Crocs may be all the rage now, but you are still the ugliest thing on the planet. Wait. Crocs may be all the rage now, but you are still the ugliest thing on the planet. Okay, that must... Okay, first of all, I never said that Crocs were fashionable. But I'm sorry, trying to get past the fact. Are you saying, I don't think you're saying that I'm still the ugliest thing on the planet. I think you're saying that the Crocs are the ugliest thing on the planet, which I would agree. Well, not that they're the ugliest thing on the planet, but that they're ugly. I mean, but again, I'm not looking for something fashionable. I'm looking for the greatest footwear for my feet. It's practical. They are the greatest practical footwear, which I've already given many reasons for this. But over this last weekend, I found a new one, and I'm going to share that with you too. So maybe you'll finally jump over onto the right side of this fence. We recently got a new kitten, or I guess I should say my daughter got a new kitten, and he's in that phase where he likes to bite and scratch and play, and which is fine. Obviously, that's what they're supposed to do when I'm available to play with him. But when I'm trying to do something, like the other day, I was trying to do some work on my computer, and he kept attacking and biting my feet, because I was wearing just my socks. And he was really driving me nuts. And I was like, dude, what in the world? I can't get anything done because I have to keep bending down and moving him. And of course, he just drops right back over and goes to my feet again. So then I realized, I don't know why I didn't think of this beginning. I realized Crocs. So I went downstairs, got on my Crocs, and put them on. And he could not attack and bite my feet. I mean, he could, but I couldn't feel it. Because Crocs are also bite proof. I know I already talked about how they're fireproof, they're waterproof, they're lava proof, all that stuff. They're glass proof. I mean, pretty much anything you step on using Crocs, your feet aren't going to get hurt. So he wasn't able to bite through. So anyway, yes, I agree that they are ugly, but who cares is my point, I guess. That's my point. I appreciate hearing of new bands I haven't heard of before when I listen to the podcast. I have many new favorites now because of your show. However, you always say that 15 is your all-time favorite band. I have tried a few different times to listen to them, but I just can't get past the terrible vocals. To each their own, though. Okay, well, first I'm glad the podcast is opening your eyes, or I guess technically your ears, to new musical horizons. That makes my heart happy, because that's kind of the point of the music section. Because I'm getting that too. I'm learning. I have a whole list of new bands that I never knew of until my guests mentioned them to me. Sadly, I still haven't had the time to really check out a lot of them, but that's on my list. Secondly, I'm not really going to try to defend 15. I do think it's a unique taste. Yeah, I think we talked about it in my wife's episode. If you guys listen to that one, she can't stand that band. A lot of people don't like them, and that's totally fine. To me, they're great. They're awesome. They mean something. I mean, their lyrics are awesome. But I don't know if it's just because of the time and place in my life that I was introduced to them. I'm not sure. So I won't fault you for not liking them, but they will always hold a special place for me. You either get it or you don't. And it's fine if you don't, because music is one of those things that is subjective. So there's nothing wrong with saying a word the way it's supposed to be said. Stop making fun of the people who are putting in the effort. At least they are trying. The same can't be said about you. Okay. I assume that this is in reference to the accents, the accents thing that I always say. If so, I completely agree with your statement. A word should be said the right way, but it has nothing to do with the accent used to say it. I've tried to explain this to other people and they don't get it. So this is the example that I would use to explain what I'm saying. I have a friend whose name is Jose. Okay. Now, to say his name the wrong way would be to say Jose or Josie, right? That's the wrong way to say it. If I say Jose, that's the right way to say it, even if I'm not saying it with an accent. Because as already mentioned, you either have an accent or you don't. Why would I say Jose? I probably didn't even do the accent right. But why would I say it that way? Why would I add the accent? It doesn't make any sense. An accent is something natural. It's something that exists in a person because their first language translates is the wrong word. It comes over in any other languages they're going to be speaking because it's just part of the way that they speak. It's natural. They're not trying to have the accent. It's just there, right? It's even true of different dialects. I can go to other states and speak English to someone who speaks English. Let's say I go to Texas or Louisiana or something, and if I simply say, hello, how are you? The natives of that state will probably know that I'm not from their state. Why? Because they can hear my accent, my California accent, which I'm not trying to have. It just happens. And this is true of every accent, which is exactly my point. If you don't naturally have a specific accent, then stop trying to force it just because you say certain words that others may have an accent when saying. I'm not sure I can make this any more clear. And as I've already said, you aren't getting any brownie points from people by forcing these accents. People that naturally have these accents, and then they see you attempting them to force them on yourself, they're all just inwardly laughing at you, or outwardly in some cases. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know how to make this more clear. This is, it makes total sense to me. I don't know. But again, I'm open to someone trying to sway me. You are making fun of the way that news reporters sound when they are on air. You do realize that you have a voice like that, right? You have your little voice that you do during intros. My little voice that I do. Well, I don't. So I don't know what you're talking about. All lies. What qualifications does a person need to be on the show? Well, you need to be someone who doesn't argue and agrees with everything I say. You must line up completely with every single belief that I hold, and you must do so in an elegant and articulate manner. No, there's really no qualifications. I guess I prefer someone who is able to articulate their viewpoints well and is able to have an honest and civil dialogue. It's also preferred that my guest doesn't mind being asked deep questions about why they hold certain views, because that's obviously kind of the point of the discussion from both ways. And a big plus, as you've heard me say, is when the guests ask me deep questions about why I hold a view that I may hold. That's really all there is to it. It's not rocket surgery. So if you have any interest in being on the show, contact me and I'll answer any questions you may have and hopefully set your mind at ease. The reason you don't believe conspiracy theories is because you aren't looking at the evidence. You only look at evidence that supports your view. I disagree completely. I will look at any and all evidence that is being presented, and if it's convincing enough, I will change my view. I've done it multiple times. I've done it even on certain episodes. You can hear it happening as I'm in a conversation with somebody, changing my view. But since we're on the topic again, let me clarify again my view of conspiracy theories. I'm not saying that it's not true. That's never a claim that I make in any conspiracy theory that's presented to me. All I'm saying is that I'm not seeing enough evidence to accept it at this point. At this point is key. If enough evidence was presented, then I'll change my view. It's that simple. And people have often said, and everybody's heard this before, but people often say, it's only a conspiracy theory until it's true. Well, yeah, I completely agree with this statement, and that's exactly my point. Saying that a conspiracy theory is only a theory until it comes true, that's like saying a raw pizza is only raw until it's cooked. It's like saying Kristen Stewart is only a good actress until you watch one of her movies. It's like saying Barbara Streisand is attractive until you actually see what she looks like. I could go on and on. Since a conspiracy theory is something that hasn't been proven, then obviously once it becomes proven, it's no longer a conspiracy theory. Again, not rocket surgery. Pretty simple concept. And I personally would say that it doesn't even need to be proven. I guess that's probably the wrong word to use. It doesn't need to be proven, but just have enough evidence to back it up. Again, back to the probability thing. That would be enough for me. But it needs to be real evidence. And this is really where the disagreement comes in, because the conspiracy theorist in their mind is presenting real evidence. And then I say, well, to me, that's not real evidence. And then that's why they claim, just as this question asker claimed, that I'm not believing the evidence. I'm not looking at the evidence because it doesn't support my view, which isn't true. I'm looking at the evidence. I just don't think, some supposed whistleblower all by himself down in a cave somewhere saying these things is credible evidence. Anyway. Okay. Who are all the people that you used in your intro? Okay. Well, I've been keeping their identities secret per their request. You see, because they're all semi-famous and we're concerned that their work in the intro portion of my podcast would be the main thing that they would be remembered for. They didn't want it to take the focus off their other work, which different jobs and things. But now that some time has gone by, most of them have given me permission to reveal their identity, so I will do so. I'm even going to reveal the identities of those who have not given me permission, but I don't know. We'll see. You just better get a pencil and paper ready because I'm only going to read these once. And I'm gonna use my best reporter voice here to announce these amazing people. So now, for the first time ever, here are the names of all those who used their voice talents in the intro, in order of appearance. So you're gonna hear these names, and you're gonna have to listen to the intro with the numbers so you know who comes where and all that. So you can really, because you have to really be listening to the intro and read the name that I'm giving you to really put the two pieces together. So, all right, here we go. In order there's 15. So get ready to start writing. All right, here we go. Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, Tom Holland, Yoda, Queen Elizabeth, Cookie Monster, Billie Eilish, Kid Rock, Jennifer Lawrence, Johnny Cash, Scarlett Johansson, Keanu Reeves, and Daisy Ridley. So, there you have it. I hope you don't ask any of them about that, because like I said, they don't really want that out there. So, just kind of keep that to yourself. Okay, moving on. In one of the episodes, you were talking with your friend about a band you used to be in together, and you had said that you would put one of the songs at the end of the episode, but it wasn't there. Yes, I apologize. That was in episode 40 with my friend Justin. I realized when I published the episode that I forgot to put the song, but it was too late. So I'll put it at the end of this episode. I promise. What if you need to go really bad? Like so bad you are about to wet yourself, and the only stall available is the middle stall. Well, I think I've already addressed this pretty thoroughly. Did I forget to include this scenario in the episode? I don't think I did, but I'll say it again anyway. The only exception to this is if the urinals have the little divider wall between them. Even then, I personally wouldn't do it, but it's allowed. If there's not a divider wall, never use the middle stall. Never. Even if you're about to wet yourself. It's better to walk around with wet pants than it is to know that you have shamefully violated the men's room etiquette. Something else came to me the other day, though, that I would like to share, since we're on the topic. We can go ahead and add this to the official men's room etiquette manual as well. A few days ago, I had the unfortunately common experience of seeing a guy use the middle stall even though all three were empty. I have already mentioned previously that this is one of the biggest jerk moves that a person could make, and I think my advice before was to give the guy the stink eye. I think that's what I said. I have a different solution now, though. I think that when this happens, we should go and use one of the urinals right next to him, but don't stay in your lane. Creep as far over as you can, maybe even rub shoulders with the guy. And I know this goes against all the other rules already laid down, but this is a special exception in which the purpose is to teach this bonehead a lesson. You see, this guy thinks that he's won. So by using the middle one, when there's no one around, he thinks he's won. He thinks he's going to keep it all to himself because he knows the etiquette. That's the worst part, right? This guy actually knows the etiquette and he's using it to his own advantage because he knows that most guys aren't going to go up next to him if he takes that middle stall. So he's being a jerk about it and being like, well, if I do this, then I don't have to worry about, anything else. So he's using that. So he thinks he's won by doing that, and it's a selfish move for sure, but he does win, right? In a sense, unless we take the route I just outlined, go right up next to him and rub shoulders with him, and while you're doing that, maybe talk to him a bit, tell him that you're so glad that he chose the middle stall because it gave you no choice, but to pee next to him, tell him that you don't like to urinate alone and that you're so glad that he provided you with some company. I think that if we all do this eventually, we might just rid the world of all the selfish middle urinal users. Okay. I have heard you use examples of buildings and paintings to prove that Christianity and the Bible are true. But just because a building had a builder, this does not prove Christianity, nor does it even prove the existence of God. True. That's true. First of all, I got that I didn't create that. I mean, I'm sure most of you know that already, but I didn't create that example. That the first time I heard that was from a guy named Ray Comfort, who's got some really good videos out there if you haven't checked them out. But the point, when I make that argument, I'm not saying that it proves Christianity. I don't think I ever said that on an episode. If I did, I was wrong, because that's not what I'm doing. When I go that route, I'm basically trying to show the evidence for intelligent design, which is different than Christianity. Intelligent design is just the belief that something intelligent created everything. And that could be anything. That could be whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be God, nor does it have to be the Christian God. That's kind of the base. That's base camp. You if I can get on the same level with somebody there, then we can start discussing who that intelligent designer might be, and that's a totally different discussion. So the only argument I'm making when using the builder and the painter is just to show that something intelligent created everything. It doesn't answer the who question, just the what question. A building has a builder. It doesn't just spontaneously, randomly pop out of nowhere. Same as a painting, right? You know that it has a painter, or that somebody created it, and somebody with intelligence, because there's a message being conveyed there, right? It's a picture of something. It's not just random, images that make no, or not even an image. It's not just random brushstrokes or random drawings or pen marks or whatever. It's an actual, it's conveying a message, right? You see a picture of a person out in a field. You think to yourself, well, that is a person, and they are out in a field, and there's flowers around them, and there's the sun's in the sky, and there's maybe a stream. I mean, this is all conveying a message of what that artist was hoping to convey to you. It's not random, is the point. It's intelligence went into the creating of that. So then that's kind of once you get to that ground, you springboard is, if it's true of simple things like paintings and buildings, then how could it be that more complex things like us, like humans, or any of that stuff just randomly appeared here, which is the non-intelligent design viewpoint that they would have, which I personally don't really think holds much water. All right, so I also received a couple emails that I'd like to read. The first two are, well, I guess the first two are nice, and then the third one. Although the first one, there's a part in there, I don't know if it's sarcasm or not, but I'll let you be the decider of that. So the first one's from Tommy T. It says, "Hey Ryan, so I'm out here listening and enjoying the content. I've had trouble finding the time to listen to entire podcasts some days. However, I have determined this is not due to your podcast being too long, but is 100% due to my poor allotment of time." See, I'm not sure if that's sarcasm, but he goes on. "Instead of trying to listen to an entire podcast in one sitting, I'm going to break them up into 30-minute-a-day increments, thus successfully listening to one podcast per week. Keep being awesome." So Thank you for that. That's nice, I think. And this is one from Leah. First off, she says, first off, thank you so much for your time and dedication to your podcast. I'm slowly making my way through the episodes and just wanted to share my appreciation. Thank you for creating each conversation/episode to be easy to follow and thought-provoking. You do one fantastic job making your guests from all walks of life feel heard and their definitions understood. You also do such a superb job of getting guests comfortable in the conversation before tactfully asking hard-hitting questions. In every episode, I feel challenged in what I believe about politics and spirituality. Instead of being convinced one way or the other, I start to own what I believe even more and become better at explaining or defending why I do. On top of all this, I have enjoyed learning about new and old music through topics of many different artists, genres, and albums. So thank you for making a podcast that is encouraging, challenging, enjoyable, and genuine. So all of that one was really nice. So thank you, Leah. That's exactly what I set out to do with each episode. That's you nailed the entire point in one paragraph. All right, and finally, we'll end with a not so nice email I received, and of course it was anonymous. The not nice ones are usually anonymous. I received this one shortly after releasing the last Q&A episode, where a lot of the questions were, when is your wife going to be on the podcast? I got asked that so many times. Which, by the way, in case you missed it, she was, and it's already been released, so go listen to it if you haven't yet. And I say that this person was anonymous because they used the name Thick Glasses. That was your username. And here's what they said. And I'm adding the tone of voice based solely on what I think it would sound like. I could be totally off here. They could have been smiling and been so happy. So here's what they said. Why haven't you had your wife on the podcast? Are you afraid that you may not agree on hard-hitting topics like you think you might? I figured a committed couple would be a shoo-in episode where you can freely dunk on the gays, trans, liberals, and otherwise damned. Her lack of presence paints a picture of non-support, as if she actually dislikes that you are doing this podcast. Hope to see you in church. Yeah, that's how it ended. Hope to see you in church. Pretty harsh, right? Although, I originally thought it was a joke, so I responded in kind. And when I showed it to my lovely wife later on, she said, no, that's not a joke. That person seems genuinely upset. And I was like, well, dang, I already responded as if it were a joke. Whoops. So here's my response to the email that I stupidly sent before asking my wife, because I was so sure it was a joke, and she told me out of the fact it wasn't a joke, and then I had already sent the email. So here's what I had said to them. I said, Dear Mr. or Mrs. Thick, the problem is that I surely cannot dunk on anyone, regardless of their gender or sexual preference. Maybe if the rims were 8 feet, even then it would be a stretch. And my wife? She definitely can't dunk on anyone either. She is much shorter than I am. As far as her being on the podcast, you already know my stance on this. Have you called the phone number I said to try and convince her? Thanks for your email, and yes, please come say hi at church. Ryan. Yeah, so obviously I'm joking back in a joking way, and I'm sure that probably was not well received. So Thick Glasses, if you're still out there and not so mad at me that you no longer listen to the show, please send me another email and I will answer your concerns more seriously. Thank you. So that's it for the Q&A. Send me some more if you want, or if you have any follow-ups to any of the things I said, send me some more and I will do my best to answer them. Maybe I'll start doing these more often than just at the very end of the season. That way they can be more relevant, because some of these questions came in quite a while ago. So stay tuned for a few more bonus episodes that I'm going to be releasing over the next few weeks. And I think I already said on a previous episode that I'm currently putting together a list of people that's getting pretty big at this point for season 3. If you or anyone else wants to be on, let me know. And as promised, here's a song from the band I used to be in. Pay close attention to the amazing the bass. The bass is what you want to listen to here, because it really makes the song. So enjoy. Thank you.
Why do I always hurt you? Why do I never care? Why do I make my own decisions? Why do I act like you're not there? Who do I think I am without you? And how did you and I get here? I've gone to such great lengths to deny you every time that you draw near. The very things I want to do are the very things that I don't do, and all the things I know are wrong, that's what I do. Exposed, blinded by your light, there's not a shadow left for me to hide. Exposed, revealed for who I am. Not until I face the truth can the healing begin. Exposed, why do I try to live without you? Is this the cause of all my strife? Why won't I listen when you call me? Why don't I let you in my life? I know what's right and I can't see you, yet I still deny the truth. In the end, your patience wins me, and I stand in front of you. Your word is like a flaming sword, and it burns me to my very core. It shows me all my sin and pride, and that's what made you die. Exposed, blinded by your light, not a shadow left for me to hide. Exposed, revealed for who I am. Not until I face the truth can the healing begin. Exposed, your word is like a flaming sword, and it burns me to my very core. It shows me all my sin and pride, as that's what made you die. Exposed, blinded by your light, not a shadow left for me to hide. Exposed, revealed for who I am. It's not until I face the truth can the healing